for today's discussion, just one agenda item. That to take this time to then welcome all of you to the Petroleum Pipelines Subcommittee meeting number 196 of the 3rd of July 2025, held virtually via Microsoft Teams and being live streamed in the various live streaming channels of the National Energy Regulator of South Africa, NERSA for short. With me, members of this subcommittee, I have Madam Zandile Mpungose, who's also the Deputy Chairperson of NERSA, the part-time regulator member, who's also chairing the Human Resources and Remuneration Committee, as well as a member of various committees within the National Energy Regulator. Madam Mpungose, may just greet.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thanks, members of the Energy Regulator, and greetings to members of the public who are live streaming the proceedings.
Thank you, Madam Mpungose. I also have got Mr. Sibanda, who is the part-time regulator member, who's also chairing the Information Technology Governance Committee, an experienced member of NERSA as a part-time regulator, and member of various committees within NERSA, and a member of this PPS. May I just greet Mr. Sibanda.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning to NERSA colleagues and members of the public. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last but not least, I have Madam Nomfundo Maseti, who is a full-time regulator member of NERSA, primarily responsible for pipe gas regulation, as well as assisting currently as an acting part-time full-time regulator member, primarily responsible for electricity regulation. She chairs the ELS as well as the PGS subcommittees, and is a member of various committees within the National Energy Regulator. Over to you, Madam Maseti, may greet.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you to the members of the Petroleum Pipelines, and good morning to the members of the public that are following today's proceedings of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Maseti. And once again, greetings to the various members of the public that are following us through the various live streaming platforms. We'll then, without much ado, move to the adoption of the agenda. As I said, it's just a one agenda item, which entails the discussion document on the review of the rolled-in tariff approach used in determining Transnet SOC Limited's pipeline tariffs. That is the only agenda item for the open meeting. By show of hands, members, if you adopt the agenda as presented. Thank you, Madam Maseti, Mr. Sibanda, and Madam Mpungose. I also support the adoption of the agenda. Members, moving on to next agenda item, which is the declaration of interest. If any interest to declare verbally, members? With no hands, I take it that there are none. And please, members, as well as management, I implore you to fill the declaration of interest forms and share them with the Secretariat for this committee, Madam Patience Masonganye. We'll then move on to the discussion document, which is the item at hand. I would just like to stress that we have had workshops internally on this item, and there are various issues that still need to be factored in and considered in terms of the interchangeability arguments around it, in terms of the use of the various pipelines, the macroeconomic considerations, looking at it from a microeconomic perspective, the industrial economic impact, etc., and also to a need to delve a bit deeper in terms of looking at the cost-benefit analysis whilst this document is out in the public domain should the committee decide that it be published for consideration for comment by the public. And just to delineate the principles and criteria that will be used in weighing whether to go the rolled-in tariff approach or to go the differentiated tariff approach. And I must stress here, we're not talking about a methodology, but it is about an approach. The methodology remains the same. Over to you, Madam Twa and your team to present this item.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Chair.
Chair.
Okay, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am.
No, it's fine. You can go ahead for the sake of time.
Thank you, Chair. Keeping it briefly, in terms of noting that we had a workshop on the document, Chair, I will just briefly state that the energy regulator in 2011 of March took a decision to approve or set tariffs applied for by Transnet on its pipeline system using the rolled-in tariff approach. In this decision, it considered two approaches, which is the rolled-in tariff approach as well as the incremental approach. I think that some time has passed, and also there has been some triggers that have necessitated an update of the framework that is used by NERSA in terms of determining tariffs. NERSA has decided to embark on a process of reviewing the rolled-in tariff approach that was approved to set tariffs for Transnet. However, it should be noted that this initiative was taken in 2023. However, due to the legal advice, the process had to be put on pause. But subsequent events have necessitated, or have seen that NERSA can resume the review by way of stakeholder consultation, taking into consideration a renewed or a reviewed a legal position. Legal position. With that being said, Chair, the energy regulator has constructed a discussion document for public consultation with stakeholders on reviewing the current rolled-in tariff approach, which considers the merits, the impacts, as well as the of this particular approach, and also wants to also seeks to garner consultation with stakeholders regarding alternative or even other approaches that are conducive to the current conditions. With that being said, Chair, we would like the members to note the discussion document on the review of the rolled-in tariff approach used in determining Transnet tariffs for its pipeline system, as well as approve the publication of the discussion document attached here to noting the members' comments from the workshop. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kaba. Anything to add, Madam Twa and HOD? Quickly.
Chair, it's just that to note that the comments for enhancement of the document and the work to be done further before coming back for a decision after consultation. So we will work on all those matters that have been raised by members during the workshop. Thank you.
HOD, 1 minute.
Chairperson, I'm covered. I think also by what the EM has said. I don't want to be repeating things. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Members, any comments, questions or comments or guidance? Madam Maseti?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I take note of some of the summary, and perhaps maybe you may at the end try to have some other specific recommendations from the workshop later on, Chairperson. But there are just things that I thought would enhance the document that I would like just to touch on. The one issue that I would like to start off with is the issue pertaining to the appropriateness of cross-subsidization when determining the tariff. I think this issue is also critical in within the context of the approaches that we are putting out there to stakeholders. Maybe just that issue as a standalone. If we can also just put it there and ask questions around the appropriateness of cross-subsidization when determining the tariff. This must also be looked at from a viewpoint of the provisions of the Petroleum Pipelines Act, whether something like that is allowed in terms of the Act, and also from a viewpoint of whether the energy regulator must consider it given the reasons advanced, for instance, by other stakeholders such as Transnet in terms of cost recovery. Is it appropriate? Is it something that is fair? Is it something that we believe that it will contribute to sustainability? Should the energy regulator consider something like that? So I'm trying to also just put the nature of the questions in what we are trying to ascertain from the public. And then maybe lastly, on this very same issue, to put to just something that we need to consider is whether cross-subsidization is an appropriate regulatory policy or regulatory principle that the energy regulator must consider under these circumstances. And that also must then be weighed against user pay principle and cost reflectivity, as well as efficient cost, as we know that we are supposed to do efficiency test. So whether now cross-subsidization will sit well with those principles, the user pay, cost reflectivity, and efficiency of cost. So that is one thing on the cross-subsidization. The second issue, Chair, that I think it will also enhance the document, it relates to Section 21 of the Act, as I indicated. And on this one, it's important that we deal with the principle of price differentiation. Not necessarily price discrimination, but it is still within that context, but as an economic price differentiation. So for the matter at hand, it is quite key, and maybe we can put questions around which areas where the energy regulator could apply price differentiation and why it should be applied, so that just the economic rationale for price differentiation when we deal with these matters. So that kind of a question will enhance the document if we can deal with that. Chairperson, I've already touched on the market definition in the workshop. I note that you have not mentioned it, but I think it is also critical in dealing with the issue of substitutability or interchangeability, because market definition in terms of checking whether we're doing things right, it must be informed by substitutability or interchangeability. Now, this is something that we need to look into so that stakeholders can comment on the issue of market definition when looking into these pipelines and also the products that are being transported. So it's from the infrastructure side, supply side, and also from the demand side, just so that we are then well informed in terms of the two approaches. But that market definition is key as it encompasses substitutability that we are referring to. Now, lastly, Chairperson, the point that has not come out clearly in terms of this substitutability or interchangeability aspect is the enhancement which would demonstrate that there is limited, it's not full substitutability, but the acceptable way of looking at it is the limited substitutability, even from the supply side in terms of the usage of some of the pipelines, meaning the assets that are being used here. That informs the returns and the cost that must be recovered for the usage of those assets. So that substitutability is limited from that viewpoint, but not only from the supply side that we need to look into it. Even from the demand side, from the customer side, how do they view this issue of substitutability? So it's important when we pose the questions that we also ask specifically how the issue of substitutability or interchangeability should be considered by the energy regulator from the supply side as well as from the demand side. And therefore, and also, Chairperson, it will be critical to ask for reasons as to whether the energy regulator must give weight to the supply side or to the demand side. And this is something that is considered by various jurisdictions around the world, and they would obviously give more weight because you're talking about the market, and more weight is generally given to the demand side. Due to some economic reasons, and there are cases also that can be looked at, and it is a general principles that are considered from an economics of competition when you're dealing with matters of substitutability as well as the market definition. So those are kind of things that I would request that we look at. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Madam Massetti. I must say that, Tim, if you just also just put a straightforward question to say from the user end, what is the benefit that each method is, or each approach, affords, and if they see any difference between the two. Yeah, if you can just add that. I'm going to go to Mr. Sibanda. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, maybe just a few comments on the questions that we are posing. So I think we should be trying to get as much evidence or information as possible from stakeholders. I think the manner in which we frame our questions should be assisting both the stakeholders and us in getting the information that we seek. So my first comment is on page 3455, request for comment 2. Well, just a small minor issue there with saying item A, how would the vetting to an incremental tariff approach impact? I'm not sure whether we're reverting or adopting here. My understanding is that we're adopting, or rather we're proposing to adopt an incremental tariff approach as opposed to reverting, because then that denotes a situation where we once used the incremental approach and then adopted a different one. But the second question, question B, which says, with SNR net importer, should tariffs prioritize coastal refineries or inland security? I'm not sure that's the correct question here to be asking, because as a regulator, we are not in the business of, having tariffs that prioritize either coastal or inland situations. So perhaps what we want to be asking there is how the adoption of an incremental approach would impact coastal refineries or inland security. I think perhaps that's what we want to be thinking instead of saying should tariffs prioritize, because I'm not sure if that's the appropriate question to be asking. Question C, what are the risks of NATREF's closure to fuel supply security and local economies? Chair, this sounds like a rhetorical question to me, because I mean the answers are quite obvious. Again, perhaps we need to flip that particular question in a way, and maybe be asking how adopting an incremental approach would assist in an instance of the risk of NATREF's closure, but something along those lines. The last questions on page 54, question C, talks to the magisterial district model. Maybe we should be expanding that and asking the question whether the incremental approach aligns with approaches in other sectors. Yes, we can give examples like the one by the department. I think we also discussed the water tariffs, but also ask whether this aligns with approaches in other jurisdictions. So maybe if we can expand that particular.
Mrs. Banda, I think I've lost you. Am I the only one?
Chair?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Chair, can you hear me?
Yes.
Chairperson, I'm not sure at what point you lost. I lost you.
It was at the time where you were saying that you don't know how it would affect. That's when you stop. But you had spoken to B, and you now we're on C.
Oh my goodness! Because I've been talking to a muted mic. I didn't realize. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, I think I was done with B probably, but with C, I was saying that to me that's a rhetorical question, because perhaps we know it should be obvious what the impact of a NATREF closure will be, but I was saying perhaps we need to flip that question and ask what or rather how adopting an incremental approach might impact in an instance where there's a risk of the NATREF closure, instead of asking, what the NATREF closure would result in. Perhaps let's link that to what we're trying to achieve. And then the last question on page 54, basically part C of that question. I was saying that let's expand on that question and talk about whether the incremental approach aligns with approaches in other sectors, and give the examples that we have done. The magisterial district model by the department and the water tariffs, and then also ask whether this aligns with approaches in other jurisdictions, so that we get the information from the stakeholders. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sibanda. Those are the enhancement team, but just respond. Madam Twa, in your team.
Yes, Chair. I think we acknowledge the enhancement, and maybe on the I think the comment on the reverting, we can then enhance maybe to adopting. I think we were looking at the fact that before the decision was taken in 2011. So, but I think just to clarify it, we can then enhance that question. But I think mostly the comments were on enhancement, and we have noted it in terms of restructuring the questions to achieve what the comments or the comments should be, or the outcome that we hoping for in terms of the balance going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. You will then factor in the questions as put forth in terms of enhancing. Because the thing here is to extract as much information as possible from the public, so that you end up with the best document, and you are able to choose the better, or I wouldn't say the better as if it is intrinsically better, but one that is going to serve this South African economy better going forward. Members, I don't want to then delay you in terms of this discussion document, noting that you have workshopped it, and you've also provided further guidance on it. The issues of cost subsidization as an appropriate regulatory principle, the user pay principle, cost reflectivity, efficient of cost, looking at the issues of interchangeability and substitutability, noting the limited nature thereof, as well as the specific questions that Mr. Sibanda zoomed in terms of the questions being posed in the document. If you can just do that enhancement. With that, members, I would like to draw your attention to page 15 of 55, which is entails the recommendation, where it is stated that it is recommended that the PPS notes the discussion document on the review of the rolled-in tariff approach used in determining Transnet SOC Limited's tariffs for its petroleum pipeline system, and approves the publication of the discussion document as attached here to as Annexure A for public comment, subject to due incorporation of all the comments and enhancements put forth by the members in this meeting. By show of hands, members, if you support this recommendation. Thank you, Madam Massetti. I also support, thank you, Mr. Sibanda. Meeting for Madam Pungose.
I also support. I was struggling with the hand, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Pungose. I also support this. Then concludes item 5, which is the only agenda item for this meeting. The meeting then, this brings this meeting to the close. I would like to thank you, members, for your invaluable inputs, your questioning, your guidance that you always provide to this team. And from my side, I would also like to thank the members of the public that follow us through the various live streaming platforms, thereby making us really to strive to be the best in class and to be the effective and efficient regulator that we aspire to be. From our side, the meeting then stands adjourned. ICT person, if you may please assist by stopping the